was that first taste of freedom, you know, and okay, you know, Mom and Dad, it's time to go. Thanks.
It felt kind of like I was going to summer camp and they were just dropping me off. So, I don't know, it never really like hit me hard that they were like leaving me. It was kind of just like, this is what I'm doing.
The thing I was most excited about was the freedom that I was going to have.
I was really excited to kind of storm and get my independence.
It was a tough day. My mom obviously had problems, and I can't imagine what her ride home was like.
I was sad when I watched my parents walk away.
College is a rite of passage here in our country, and the road to college is filled with expectations.
There's mystery, there's fear.
It's a journey from adolescence to adulthood, and that journey is not always an easy journey.
The anticipation of her leaving home, which was, I think, more of a worry for me than it was for her.
It's the combination of stress, excitement, and the clash between the two that sometimes creates emotional anxiety.
It's a dynamic time and a stressful time.
There's a definite push-pull that happens between the kids and the parents during that senior year.
She was really ready to go, more so than we probably wanted her to be.
I knew what a good experience was ahead of her, and I was excited for her.
I was realizing that I was losing my baby. She was the caboose. She's not going to be around anymore.
I looked at him and I said, you know, I don't think she's coming back home after this. And he goes, and he says to me, you mean our baby's leaving for real? So we had kind of mixed feelings.
It was time to say goodbye, and that kind of like the curtain dropped. And don't worry, she made it easier for us. It was tough.
The parents that are most successful and the children that are most successful are the ones who have, over the course of sophomore, junior, and senior year, started to foster some more independence in the child's life and give them more time to make mistakes and grow in practice.
Sometimes we call this group of students the millennial generation. They have been perhaps guided more closely and more carefully, and their lives have been structured more fully than students of generations past.
For parents, it's 18 years that they have been preparing this child to leave their home, and now it's really here. And what does that mean?
I was so used to being the one that was always in charge, but I realized in order for him to be who he wants to be, you have to let go.
That feeling of our children pulling away from us to develop their own identities and individuality, I think, is the most difficult thing that most parents deal with. It's a sense of loss of control.
From the parent standpoint, there really has to be an understanding the level of the person that you're now dealing with is not the same and shouldn't have the same amount of hovering.
Once she hit about 17, senior year of high school, you see a separation occur that prepares you for when they're totally gone. They begin to separate from you as they drive.
Once she got to high school and she learned how to drive, we were on the outside. She was on the inside of our car, going about her life, and we were outside. And it's been that way for a while, even before she went away to school.
If we understand what is the developmental process, what is this thing called a college education really all about, it is about having our sons or daughters be more independent thinkers. We are trying to get them to encounter the world in a somewhat safe way and in a somewhat protected environment, to begin to process it in ways that may in fact be different from the way we look at the world.
In terms of the parents, I think it is a time of some apprehension, and in some ways it's a test for the parents of how effectively they've been able to raise their children or establish in their children the values that they've tried to pass along to them.
You've given them the basis they need to make all the right decisions, to do well at college, and now you have to put your trust in them that you've done your job well enough that they're going to stand on their own 2 feet and be independent. That's really what you want.
When I chat with parents and students about the college search process, I talk about it as a matter of the fit, it's about finance, and it's about feeling. Fit are those basic characteristics, large, small, private, public, do they have my major, location, and so forth. Finance, those are the things when we talk about cost or affordability, financial aid, scholarships, value. But ultimately, it's that feeling piece that's most important.
If parents and students focus more on fit and match in a college, it makes it more manageable and a lot less stressful.
One of the great ways for families to prepare or to be successful in the college search is to go into it and to really encourage open discussion and open lines of communication within the family. The college search process ultimately is the responsibility of the student who's going to go off to college, but with that being said, the parents play a critical role.
The parents need to stay in a steady position of guiding and advising the student, but it's important for that student to be able to decide.
The phrase that I tell the parents to use all the time is, how can I help you? That way it's still the child dictating the momentum, the shape, the direction, but the parent is also saying, I'm still here with you, I haven't abandoned you, but this is just a new step in you growing up.
They're the ones who best understand themselves. They have ideas of what they like and what they don't like. So as a result, they're in the best possible position to make a good decision for themselves.
We viewed it as extremely important that we step back and let him become his own decision maker.
Bottom line is, they are going to be the ones for the next 4 years that are living on a day-to-day basis in this environment. They are the ones that will have to get up in the morning and get themselves to classes. They're the ones that are not going to be with mom and dad and a lot of the creature comforts that they've had at home. So unless they have heavily invested in that decision, they're not going to embrace it fully.
It's important for the student to take that ownership, because if they don't, it won't really be their life that they're living. It'll feel as though they're living some form of their parents' life.
We tried to be supportive in terms of the role, but we had said right from the very beginning that this was going to be her decision to make. So we were acting very much as mentors or guides.
So we would go and check out the college, check it out, and she said, what do you think? I said, well, I'm not going here, you are. What do you think about it?
Students should lead the way, because this is the first big decision that they're making really in their life.
It's a movement to a new phase of life. It is a high-stakes piece of their life. They see it as that. They see it as a move to their future, to a possible career, to a possible next job, and there's a lot riding on it.
What's important for parents and students to talk about is the realities of what college life is, to have visits to a campus, to get a sense of its culture, to really know what's going on, rather than what they perceive to be going on.
When I got to my college, I knew that it was the place for me just by the friendly atmosphere. I felt at home when I stepped foot on that campus, and I felt home ever since.
Family dynamics are going to be radically different. They begin to change even before the child leaves home.
You feel an emptiness in the air of your house when the child is gone. It's an odd feeling. Just the noise level is different, and you miss it.
I think the hardest thing for them was that I was the last one, so they're empty nesters. But I think they're enjoying it because they go on vacations a lot.
So they're adjusting to that, and also then, of course, the child left at home has to adjust to the fact that he or she now has the full attention of his parents, which can be a kind of a difficult thing.
We were left with one child at home. So it's been a tough go for that one child because she gets all the focus right now.
After our second child went to college, I began to become actively involved in a local charity. And that, in part, has helped fill part of the void that's created as you see your children go.
I don't understand empty nest. I don't understand why people get all bent out of shape. I think it's wonderful. I can get the phone when I want it. I don't have to hear music and TV all day. My house is quiet.
I think it's really important to anticipate that one day our children are going to leave us. And they're only loaned to us anyway, and that's what my mom used to tell me. And so ultimately you are left with your life partner, and so I think what you need to do is to anticipate that and make sure that you're doing more things together as a couple prior to your children leaving.
It's just my husband and I. There were some concerns. Does that change the relationship? What are the expectations you have for each other? Am I still going to cook every night?
But it gives us new opportunities to do new things as a couple, which is different than with a child at home.
Talking about your kids and thinking about them and discussing them, that doesn't change. You don't go back and become a couple without children. You still are that same couple.
They come home for the first time at Thanksgiving and see their parents, and they walk in the door and they have their own agenda set. They drop off their dirty clothes, they call their friends, and they go out. Meanwhile, their family is waiting for them to sort of be entertained and to catch up and all these things. But the student has a new life now that's away from the parents, that the parents aren't necessarily, again, 100% in that life. So it starts to change, and that parents realize that my student is growing up.
I have this community that my real family sort of knew nothing about for the most part. You know, it was a very small, close-knit group that you were away from, that you spent 24/7 with for the past 2 months. So it was definitely something that I look forward to getting back to very quickly.
It was nice to be home, but after that second day, I was like, back to school, let's go.
When I go home and see them now, I take my time to hang out with them, and we go to the movies, we cook together, you know, everything that I felt like I didn't do in high school just because I lived with them. And now that I was in college, you know, my time was limited, so I had to step up.
My relationship with my daughter has changed a lot in the last 4 years. I think we're more friends. She talks to me about what's going on in her life. She'll call for advice, but basically she'll call just to chat.
My relationship with them became more of a friendship than it was parent and student.
I think our relationship has matured a lot. I've seen a lot of maturity, and he seems interested in what I'm doing with my time, as well as, you know, telling me what he's doing with his time.
This is what you've worked for all of your life. This is the measure of success for you, for your son, for your daughter. So it's something to be proud of, to celebrate, to be happy about.
You can see when they realize, you know, coming home and I'm going in for interviews and doing all these, you know, adult things, that I've grown up, and it's been 4 years. A lot has changed, and I have really grown individually and in terms of my goals and my plans.
She's just turned into a really exciting person. She was always the light of our lives, but I think she's now beginning to realize even more that she is that to many other people.
We raised you to leave us. And it seems to me that really catches the essence of good parenting. If you've done your job, you love them so much that you're going to make them so strong that they can actually step away from you.